Welcome to another edition of the Who Corner. It's our weekly review show. I'm Lewis Moon, by the way. Nice to meet you if you haven't watched the show before. If you have, welcome back. Nice to have your company today. This is basically a review show, so today I'm going to be taking a look and giving my thoughts and opinions on episode 3 of series 11, which is called Rosa. While you're doing it, you may want some eating material, you may want some listening material, or you may want some reading material, or maybe you want all three. I don't know, but nice to have you on board. As well as my review for Rosa, I'm going to be ranking it among the last 2 episodes, so if you missed my opinions on The Woman Who Fell to Earth and The Ghost Monument, they're available on my channel, or in the Who Corner playlist. But if you have missed them, and you can't be bothered to watch the others, I'm going to be ranking it among the others, so you get to see what I think of them briefly. Plus, we've got another visit to Who Will Help, and Decool, he won't be on the show today. The last 2 weeks he was here with games, so I've sort of compiled my own little game. You can play along with it as well if you want to. So that's all coming up later on in the show. Plus there's a little preview for episode 4, Arachnids in the UK. Let's go in with this, and welcome to the Who Corner. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just doing all these things I said I was going to do at the beginning. Let's get into the meat of this review then. So, this story is one, I must admit, I was very worried about. I'm going to turn off this DVD player because I'd admit I was very worried about this story. I thought it would be overly PC. Which, don't get me wrong, in places it was, and this DVD player has turned off again. Turned on again. I'm so sorry. This is already disastrous. And before I say it might seem lighter to you than usual. That's because I'm filming this in daytime rather than nighttime, for various reasons. So, yes, yes, as I say, I was worried for the story quite a bit. I thought it was going to be really overly PC and really just in your face. And trust me, in places it was, but I thought it was handled really well as an episode. I thought it was just it was moving. It was interesting, it was powerful, and it just worked really well as a Doctor Who story. I thought it was really, really good, and there seemed like there was more of a story in terms of the first 2 episodes. There was quite a weak plot. When I do these Who Corner reviews, if you've watched them before, I tend to be slightly more positive, so I thought I'd reflect on it the day afterwards, and I probably am quite positive on this episode overall. I think it won't change to being quite as negative as it did last week. I know when I did this review I was probably much more positive on that episode than I would have been, say, than I am now, a week later. Yeah, I just really liked the episode. I thought It was really well done. I thought the ending was wonderful. I didn't like them putting that song in it, Rise Up. No, actually, I did quite like them using it in the ending. I thought it fitted it. Even though I prefer pop songs not to be used in Doctor Who, it fitted the scene as well as a pop song could. However, I wish it was just the orchestral stuff from Sigan Akinola, whose score is still beautiful, by the way. More Murray Gold-esque this episode, but still excellent. The fact that it seeped into the closing credits, and even when it seeped into the Next Time trailer, that was just awful. It went into the Next Time trailer, and that was terrible, so I kind of missed the Next Time trailer. The pointless Next Time trailers of 10 seconds long that they play at the end of each episode, which really don't need to be there. They might as well have just released a TV trailer at the end and just ended it with that song. I hated it that it seeped into the Next Time trailer, and that's probably the most annoying thing, perhaps even in the series so far. Although the Call of Duty moment in last week's episode was also terrible. So, yeah, I thought it balanced the TARDIS team a bit better this week. I've had concerns for the last 2 weeks that Yaz still isn't as developed as she should be, and she still isn't. I think she still has a little way to go before she sort of... I don't really know her as well as I should do by now, and I think that's because of the amount of companions there are in the TARDIS team. I thought she was more used she was more well used, and they managed the amount of companions better in this episode than the other two, because Yaz just felt completely pointless, and in last week's episode Ryan also felt a bit sort of in there just because he has to be. I thought this week managed it better. Jodie, I mean, this episode wasn't really about Jodie or the Doctor, but I still think she did a really great performance. I do really like the ending bit where she says that they have to sort of sit down, and Graham has to sort of not help Rosa, because otherwise the events won't happen. Krasko himself, I thought there was quite a threat, because obviously I knew it was going to happen. I knew they were going to get to the ending. However, it's quite tense, and I'm pretty sure we'll see Krasko again later on in the series. I doubt that we won't. If you didn't realise, Vortex Manipulator was the same. He's a time agent, just more racist, like Captain Jack, and had a vortex manipulator like Captain Jack, and he came from the Storm Cage facility, which is the same prison that River Song came from, which was a nice little touch there. Vinette Robinson was great as Rosa Parks. I think she really looks the part of Rosa Parks, and I think she did a really great performance. Obviously, I don't know Rosa Parks as a person. Or, you know, I haven't really seen her in any interviews or footage or anything. I've seen pictures of her, but I'm not sure how well she nailed the performance, but I think she did a really great performance as Rosa Parks, and yeah, she was really good. Again, it looked really good, it looked really stylish, it looked really accurate to what 1950s America would look like, I think. Yeah, I really like the look. I really like the score again. The other thing is, I really like how they were trying to go a bit more educational with it all, going down a more educational route, like the William Hartnell days. If you want to hear more of what I thought, because this week on the podcast, Doctor Who Time and Space at Podomatic, I will be flying solo because D-Cool can't be on the show this week. He'll still be here. He's going to send through his opinions. I don't know what he thinks still yet, but we'll still hear a bit from him. Just he won't be actually physically there. We'll have some recording of his thoughts. But I have my full in-depth thoughts, and also I'll have a chance to re-watch it as well. I'll be re-watching it very shortly to sort of develop my opinions a bit more. But overall, I was really pleasantly surprised by this story. And yeah, what did you think of Rosa? Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we're going to continue this now with the visit today. It's not split into 2 parts this week, because I know the last few were, or at least I don't think it was. I don't know. The Who Will Help team will know, but this is going to be today's segment of Who Will Help. Who will help doesn't know what they're facing. They're facing me. And I will face them. I will kill them. I will bloody kill them. And you know what? I'll make sure they die. Because that is the purpose of killing people. Who Will Help will never see the light of day again. But I'm planning on doing it tomorrow, so they'll probably see it tomorrow. But they'll never see the light of day again after tomorrow. Hello. Please. He's already started recording. Gilbert, can I have a cup of coffee? Yeah. Slave. Go. Anyway, we are Who Will Help. We will. That's what. No who. Yes, we will. That's not what who. Is no. We will. That's who. What? No. I don't know. Anyway, the catchphrase is impossible to memorise. Let's just say we're here to help. We're here to help with how to help who when who is where. Anyway, we're here to help your problems. The legal dispute with Peter Capaldi is still carry on. We're so sorry, Peter, for what we did. I mean, I'm so sorry. Not official legal dispute. Anyway, we had a threatening phone call the other day from the Ood. I don't know what it was about, but it was talking about different kinds of guns in his American/Australian accent. And we just want more callers. Obviously, if you have a Who-related problem, then come to us at Who Will Help, because we will help. That's what. No who. I need the sign. I do need the sign. It's obvious. Don't take the sign away, Gilbert. I tell you, if you take that away. Anyway, we have some more space to help with your problems. We have a caller on the line, don't we, Gilbert? Can you put him on? Hello. I'm Stone Allen. And I was wondering whether you could help me with my Who-related problem. I was told to come to you, so I thought I would come to you, and my operator said that'd be good. Hi. Anyway, we just wanted to know whether you could help me with my Who-related problem. I'm not a big fan of Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and I feel like my fandom is dying. I love Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and I want him back because he was more classic-like, and I liked Classic Who. Classic Who was great, and I don't think we're ever going to get something like Classic Who back again, so, if you could help me reignite my Doctor Who fandom, then that would be absolutely brilliant, wouldn't it, operator? Operator? Oh. Thank you. Now, wait a minute. Thank you there to the Who Will Help team for our visit there today. Next up, we're going to go down to the Who meter to see where this episode ranks among the other 2 of the series so far. Let's go along. Yeah, look, I'm just doing it because I have no one else to hold up the gun. If you want to hold up the gun to make it seem more realistic, I don't know, but we can't get the actor who played the Ood over here. So I'm just pretending to be him. So, you know. Hello, I am the Ood guy and I want you dead. Boom. That worked pretty well, didn't it? Still on air. So, here we are again at the wonderful Q meter. It's a beautiful little location here. What I do this, I'll reveal it now. If you've watched before, you won't know what it looks like because you can't see it. It's bloody. It's probably the worst thing you'll ever see because actually the worst thing you won't ever see because you can't actually see it. This is the Who meter. Over on this side is where we have the rankings of each episode of the series. Now I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move episode 2 because down to here, just below a 7. Because episode 2A is here, which is just out of which is way away from episode 2 and too close to episode 1, and it's too good for episode 2. I prefer episode 1 than episode 2. But episode 3, I'm going to put. It's the best episode so far of the series, I would say. So I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to draw a line between the series to see where it goes on the Christmas special of the Who Corner. Yes, that's the first mention of it. We will still have a Christmas special because there is going to be a Christmas special of Series 11. So we'll have the 10 episodes of the Who Corner, then we'll have a Christmas special, and then we'll have a Best Bits and Unseen Moments thing because there's some stuff from last week's show even that I didn't get to use, and I'm sure there'll be many more scenes I won't get to use, so I'll throw that all into a little special show probably at the beginning of next year once the series and the Christmas special are over. Over here then, on the other side, we've got the performance scales. So first up, I like to reevaluate the performance scales of the last few weeks. So I'm gonna move Jodie down to an 8 from the first week. She was probably better in last week's episode. I changed things on a rewatch, and Toes and Cole will get a 6 from last week. So this week, I'm gonna give Jodie another 8. Bradley Walsh another 8. Mandy Gill, I'll give her a 7 this week, and I'll give Tozen a 7 too, because I'm generous, but I may change that next week. And our performance of the week, I like to circle one, will be, for the first week, Bradley Walsh. So Bradley Walsh is our performer of the week this week. At the end of the series, we'll have best episode, best performance, and best guest star. So obviously I can't decide yet what that will be, as I haven't seen all the stories, but I'll decide that too. By the way, pen of the week is this pen, this very special pen, which has been our pen of the week 3 weeks in a row, which is tremendous. We don't have a recipe of the week like we usually do. We just had jelly babies this week, but I am munching on a few poppets at the moment, so there's no really Doctor Who themed snack today, but yesterday while the episode was on we did have some jelly babies. Last week we didn't ask you this week's question, which is well, please send in my meetings of various incarnations of the Doctor. So we have this, which is Lewis Moon's meeting of Matt Smith, and this, which is Lewis Moon's meeting of Peter Capaldi. Plus, we have this, which Lewis Moon also sent in last week, which is from a few years ago, and it's of Louise Jameson and Lewis. So there we go, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, and Louise Jameson. Did somebody mention Peter Capaldi? It's fine, Peter. We don't need you in this week's show. It's okay. Come back next week. We might need you then. Pass me one of those Pop-It sweets. Immediately. Okay. There you go, Peter. Thank you. Oh. Thank you, PCAP. It's time for some Who-related games. Hello, and here we are. We haven't been in this area before in the Who Corner so far, but here we are. We're in the Who Corner today. Over the last 2 weeks, you have been witnessing D-Cool with some games. If you enjoyed the Games with D-Cool instalment of the show, then do not fret. We will have more of that to come over time. But today, I'm going to play a game where you at home are the people who will be playing. So please get out whatever you feel comfortable of jotting your scores down. It's the higher or lower Doctor Who story game. So the last 2 weeks, obviously, we've been seeing D-Cool with the yes or no game. On week 3, I wanted to play a bit of a different game, and just because of scheduling rise, I couldn't get 10 weeks of D-Cool, so I'm just going to do something a bit different. So let's have this game. So basically, there's going to be a card, and then you've got to say whether, or you've got to write down or whatever, whether it came beforehand, so before the time of release, or afterhand, and they're always going to be connected. So for example, if I said Dalek Invasion of Earth and Frontier in Space, then you'd say Frontier in Space was higher. So, please comment with your score at the end, and there'll be 1 point available for each one you get right out of 4. So, the first one is the Time Monster, and then the Time Meddler. So, did the Time Meddler come before or after the Time Monster? If you haven't watched these episodes or never heard of these episodes, give it a guess. Please, give it a guess. Okay, the next one, the Time Meddler we've got, but is it before? It is World Enough and Time before the Time Meddler or after the Time Meddler? Give it a guess. Give it a go. The next one, World Enough and Time, but is Time and the Rani before World Enough and Time or after World Enough and Time? give it a go. So we have Time and the Rani. Then we have the Time Warrior. Is Time and the Rani... is the Time Warrior, sorry, I'm not necessarily a professional, this is the first week of doing this. Is the Time Warrior before Time and the Rani or after Time and the Rani? Give it a guess. Give it a guess. So we've got 5 here. So there's 5 here, which are the Time Monster, the Time Meddler, World Enough and Time, Time and the Rani, and the Time Warrior. First up, what connects the stories, and that's something about the titles of the stories. Quite an easy one. And number 2, what story came first? Was it the Time Monster, the Time Warrior, the Time Meddler, Time and the Rani, or World Enough and Time? So, let's give you let's give you the answers. So, first up, I asked you what was first, the Time Monster or the Time Meddler, and the answer was the Time Monster was first. So the Time Meddler came before the Time Monster. And then with World Enough and Time. World Enough and Time came after the Time Meddler because it was the Peter Capaldi era and the William Hartnell era. And then Time and the Rani came before World Enough and Time. And then the Time Warrior came before Time and the Rani. So how many out of 4 did you get right? Please leave your results in the comments below. That would be lovely. I'd love to see them, and hopefully you did well. There's 2 other bonus points. What connected the stories, and what was the first one out of the Time Warrior, the Time Meddler, World Enough and Time, the Time Monster, and Time and the Rani. I've already given you a hint already, and please leave them in the comments below. If you reply and you get those questions right, then well, I'll shout you out on next week's episode, because we'll be doing this again next week. Whether it will continue after that, I'm not sure, but just giving each quiz 2 weeks, and then maybe go back to some of the ones that work the best, because obviously, I'm recording this a little bit back in time, to be fair with you, so I don't know what will prove a success or not. So let's go back to me in the studios in the present day and see what is going on in episode 3. So then, we've almost come to a close on this week's show. Another week of the Who Corner, and another week coming to a close. It's been great to have you on board for this week's show. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed recording it and hosting it. Next week, it's Arachnids in the UK, so just a bit of a background to what you can expect from it. Again, you can hear a more in-depth preview and a more in-depth sort of synopsis, and as we get to learn more about the story, I'll be showing more about cast and crew and stuff like that. So on Doctor Who Time and Space at Podomatic, episode 287 is coming out this Wednesday. It's Arachnids in the UK is once again written by Chris Chibnall. This week's was written by Mallory Blackman and Chris Chibnall. But it's going to be One that I'm quite looking forward to. It looks like a sort of more horror-based story. It's going to feature spiders, as you can tell from the terrible pun of a title, which is Arachnids in the UK, which I'm predicting is based on Anarchy in the UK. And indeed, in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, Chris Chibnall confirmed it was based on Anarchy in the UK. Aside from tipping the wink to the Sex Pistols' 1977 anthem, Anarchy in the UK, the episode is clearly part of the production team's stated intent to showcase as broad a range of stories as possible for the 13th Doctor's debut season. Yes, the story is based on the title Anarchy in the UK, which is the worst pun of a title I've ever heard, and the next few episode titles are absolutely rubbish. Of course, there's the infamous Demons of the Punjab, which is going to be an absolutely sensational story, I can assure you. But saying that, I thought Rosa was going to be crap, so I won't get the title in the way. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Chris Chibnall and the team have to offer with this week's 4th outing of Series 11 with Arachnids in the UK. Again, what a terrible title that is. Absolutely awful title. But I won't focus on the title. It sounds like an interesting story. It's going to be a present-day set story following the pattern of present, future, past sort of stories that I'm trying to attempt to do. And it shall feature, obviously, the spiders of all different sizes, and she'll feature the Doctor and her companions, or her new best friends, returning to Sheffield after adventures across the universe in the TARDIS. Of course, they'll return to adventures across the universe in the TARDIS following this week's outing. However, this week's a more down-to-earth story set once again in Sheffield, and we get to meet Yaz's family, her mum played by Shobna Gulati, and various other people of her family. It's also got Tanya Fear and Chris Noth in 2 different roles, as some sort of doctor person or some sort of spider expert. I'm unsure. I can actually get out the name of the character for you here. Dr. Jade McIntyre is who Tanya Fear's playing, and Robertson is who Chris Noth is playing. He's an American actor, best known for Sex and the City. So yeah, intrigued by next week's episode. Hopefully it will be as strong as Rosa was, and hopefully it will be another intriguing episode to watch. Probably more intriguing and interesting to view than this episode of the Who Corner is. I am aware that my voice sounds a bit boring after a while. Anyway, next week's episode should be hopefully spectacular. I'll go in again with modest expectations because it could be terrible, it could be brilliant. I have no idea with this rate of the series. It's just such a weird series in terms of we don't know anything beforehand really, and we're unsure whether it's going to be good or bad. There's not really much chance to get an expectation beforehand, but this one's more positive than last week's in terms of an advanced expectation. So that's about it for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed the Who Corner for today. We'll be back next week on the same day with our review of Arachnids in the UK. Plus, we'll have another edition of that game that we played earlier on, but it's a companion edition. And I think when I recorded it, I had some kind of cold, so be careful. But don't worry, you won't catch it on that week. And we'll also have a preview for episode 5, the Saranga Conundrum, which is another absolutely terrible title, and I'll explain why next week. and we've got another edition of Who Will Help, episode 4 of that particular series. Thank you once again. Please like and subscribe and ring the bell for more notifications. And I will see you next time. Same space. Goodbye. Oh, remember a day where I was on the front cover of Doctor Who magazine, where I was a part of this show, when I had such great stories as In the Forest of the Night and Death in Heaven, such excellent episodes. And now we've resorted to game show hosts. Game show host Bradley Walsh. Sure, I would have quite liked it if he was in my era, and I do quite like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. That's not the point. The Who Corner, Who Will Help, did not solve my problem. They said they could solve my problem. They said they could help me. I was mourning. I wanted to be back on Doctor Who, and they didn't help me. And now, I want my revenge. I want my revenge. Fact. Yes. Oh, Peter Capaldi, you really are a mastermind.